What's up? What's up? What's up? We back. Big weekend we had, man. You Can't Play Boxing Podcast, episode 25. For those who are keeping track, this is season 2, episode 3. Before we dive into this big weekend, got to get the house cleaning out the way. So number 1, you can check us out on Instagram. You Can't Play Boxing at You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPLAYBOXING. Also, check out our YouTube page. You Can't Play Boxing. You can find the archive episodes up there, uploading daily. So check it out. Also, go to our website, can'tplayboxing.com. We'll have articles, all our rankings, all of those things. We're updating content on a continuous basis, so check it out. All right. So, man, we had a big weekend. We had the Deontay Wilder. We had the Tyson Fury big fight. And, want to talk about just starting off, man, this was a big fight. And, the promotion of the fight was huge. You had ESPN, you had Fox Sports, both devoting a lot of content towards the fight. You had, I think, First Take was in Vegas doing live shows. You had Fox Sports devoting things to it. You had the PBC promotion, social media. It was a huge fight, and I think they did a very good job. So before we even get into the fight, I think just want to give a kudos to all the entities involved because they did a good job as far as promoting the fight. The fight it wasn't for lack of promotion, put it that way. So that's what boxing needs, especially when it's a good fight. And I think the fight lived up to the hype. You know what I mean? It maybe was one-sided, but it lived up to the hype. Nobody can say that they didn't get enjoyment out of the fight or was an action-packed. And that's what you get in the heavyweight division, which is what makes boxing special, So always can be a special sport because anytime you put two men into the ring together and it's mano a mano, you get fireworks. So I feel real good as far as the promotion of the fight. Speaking of promotion of the fight, what do you guys think? How many pay-per-view buys do you think this fight is going to get? Me personally, I think the floor is 500,000. I think it'll get at least 500,000, maybe up to 1 million. I don't think it's going to do more than 1 million, me personally. But hey, you never know. I hope it does, because more promotion is better for the boxing game. So I would like that, but so we'll see. We'll see if I'm right or if I'm wrong when it comes to it. So, diving into the fight now. We're going to talk about, let's start off with the ring walks, man. Tyson Fury, man, came out on the throne. Had the women taking him to the ring. I mean, it was a motorized thing, but just the visual of it, he did his thing when it comes down to it. So, he had a lot of swag. I thought he was a little nervous once he got into the ring, but I think that's kind of normal. I mean, once you see all the people there and you kind of like soaking in all the energy and the electricity, I mean, you got to be like a killer not to have any sort of emotion when it comes to it or not to be affected by it. But I think he definitely settled in once the fight, the bell rang. And, we're going to dive into that in a second too. When it comes to Wilder, man, it's February, man. February is a special month for me because, number 1, it's my birthday month. It's Black History Month. Wilder had D-Smoke, who won the Netflix hip-hop contest or series, the one that had T.I. and Chance the Rapper and Cardi B. And D-Smoke is dope. I haven't checked out his album, but every time I've heard him, he's been a dope MC. And D-Smoke, did the ring entrance with Wilder, kind of paying homage to Black History Month and Black excellence. And Wilder had a crazy outfit, crazy outfit. It was dope though. It was all black, had the light up eyes. I mean, he really, he every time he steps the game up when it comes to his costumes and stuff. So it really puts you in a mindset of a big fight, and this definitely was a big fight. And we're going to dive into the fight. Going into the fight, if you listen to my episode 2, the last episode, I predicted Tyson Fury to win the fight. I didn't think it was going to be by KO, but I predicted Tyson Fury to win the fight because when you look at strategy and you look at the tools, Tyson Fury had more tools to use than Deontay Wilder would have. Now, don't get me wrong, the tool that Deontay Wilder has is a bazooka. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. But if I'm going to bet on something or predict something, I'm going to always probably go the person who has more avenues to win the fight versus the person who has one avenue to win the fight. So Tyson Fury, I thought when I saw that's why I'm a big proponent of kind of waiting until you see the weigh-in. The weigh-in can kind of tell you a lot as far as their strategy, as far as if they've been training a lot, if they took it seriously, looking at the body language. And Tyson Fury, when I saw his weigh-in, I was like, okay, he gained 15 pounds. So, and when he changed trainers, I'm like, okay, he gained 15 pounds, got a new trainer who from the Detroit School of Boxing, the Crunk Gym, which is offensive and also smart. Tyson Fury 6'9", 271 pounds. If you're a boxing head, if you're a strategist, you're like, okay, he's going to probably the smart way to do this would be to use his weight to drape himself over Deontay Wilder, tie him up, make sure that Deontay Wilder has to hold him up and tire him out. So I knew his strategy was going to probably be to use his weight. You don't gain all that weight to just be fat, you know what I'm saying, or be bigger. You gain that weight to say, okay, I'll make this dude work for this. He gonna have to hold me up. I'm taller than him. I weigh more than him. So I want to slow the offensive fighter down. So I peeped that strategy, you know what I'm saying, when I was looking at the weigh-in. However, when he was talking about he's gonna knock Deontay Wilder out, I thought that was just hot air, you know what I mean? I thought, because I saw interviews where his dad said Tyson Fury's strategy is to knock Deontay out. And I didn't believe it, you know what I mean? I feel like, because I felt like you try to knock Deontay Wilder out, you're basically setting yourself up. You might got a shotgun, you know what I'm saying? But Deontay Wilder got a Uzi, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't think that would be a strategy because, you don't get into a firefight with somebody like that. However, I was wrong, so Tyson Fury's strategy was to go out there and actually take the fight to him. I mean, as soon as the bell rang, he walked out there and he stepped to Wilder, had him on his back feet the entire time. So as far as strategy-wise, I think they had the perfect strategy. I didn't believe they would implement the offensive portion of it, but they did. And man, strategy-wise, I give him A+. And execution-wise, it's the A+. He fought one of the fights of his life, and I guess I shouldn't be surprised, because even with the Klitschko fight, his strategy, even though it was an ugly fight, his strategy was awesome to neutralize, Klitschko. And he did that. So Tyson Fury, he's, as I'm seeing more and more big fights, he's really cemented himself as being more and more strategic fighters as far as implementing and having a good strategy and knowing when to employ certain things. So I'm going to give him kudos. Great strategy. Now, when it comes to Deontay, his strategy was the one thing, which is the reason why I didn't pick him to win the fight. I knew he had a good chance because anytime you have a right hand like Deontay Wilder, you always have a good chance. But if your only strategy is to use that right hand, you limit yourself to one avenue. And when you limit yourself in the boxing game, even though your avenue you have and your weapon you have is a strong weapon, it just limits what you can do if a person can kind of neutralize that. And Tyson Fury had a strategy to neutralize that. So going into the fight, Tyson Fury stepped first round. He was really stepping to him. He won that first round. Second round, Deontay Wilder, I think it was more of an even round. I gave the round to Tyson Fury, but I can see how somebody can give a second round to Deontay Wilder because he was fighting back in the second round. The third round, of course, man, this is where it changed right here. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury caught him right on the ear, knocked him down, and if you notice a pattern, man, in these heavyweight fights, number one, is heavyweights. As heavyweights, if you get knocked by a 270-pound guy, I don't care what your strategy is. I don't care what sort of technique you got. A lot of times, if you let 270 pounds knock you by a man, you feel me? You gonna feel that. And they get hit in the ear or right behind the ear. That throws your equilibrium off, and his ear is bleeding. And at that point, I knew, okay, the way he got knocked down, that was serious. It wasn't a flash knockdown. And Deontay Wilder, he takes punches pretty good. So to see him knocked down like that, I knew it was kind of serious. And I knew at that point he probably was going to lose unless he can recover in the next round or two. And, same thing happened to Anthony Joshua. He got hit right there behind the ear. And so I guess if you're a boxer, man, if you're in a big fight, even though you're not supposed to because it kind of gets close to the back of the head, knocking somebody in the ear, it throws them off if you land the right shot. So if you're smart, if you want to throw somebody off, try to get that shot. And I think Tyson Fury aimed for that. I don't think it was by happenstance that he knocked him where he did. Because the more and more I'm watching Tyson Fury, this dude is a smart fighter for the most part. And I'll get into that for the most part later on. So he knocked him in his ear, third round. And at that point, it was a fight that Tyson Fury is definitely, in my mind, in control of. Because at that point, I think he definitely won 2 or 3 rounds. Plus, he has a knockdown. So Deontay Wilder is behind at that point. And in the 4th, 5th round, it was more of the same. He just was really toying with him. And then he knocked him down with a body shot. And when he got down for the second time, you could just see Deontay Wilder's legs wasn't there. 6th round, now I will say this: people who are not nuanced in boxing, in the 6th round, Deontay Wilder did something, and it was sort of working to make him last longer than what he did last. He did the sort of same rope-a-dope strategy that he was doing against Louise Ortiz when he got hurt. He just laid up against the ropes, and he was making Tyson Fury miss, which was a smart strategy by Deontay Wilder, but he didn't have anything to throw back, not of any substance. So in the 6th round, he was doing the rope-a-dope, making Tyson Fury miss, but Tyson Fury still had the more offense in that round. And in the 7th round, he tried to do the same strategy because I think at that point he knew he still was kind of out of it. He was woozy, and he was trying to get his legs back, but they never came back. And he did the same thing starting the 7th round. But when you're doing that strategy, if you get hit with anything big, you have to throw something big back. And he wasn't throwing anything big back. He got hit with a couple shots in that corner in the 7th round. And I think, Breland did this. He did what he should have done as far as throwing in the towel in the 7th round. So what we going to do, that's the first segment. We're going to kind of dive into, after this break, we're going to talk about, should Breland have thrown in the towel? Why did Breland throw in the towel versus Deontay Wilder's other trainer didn't throw in the towel? We're going to talk about also the psychology of a loss. Like, if you're a fighter, it's not just losing a fight. It's a lot of things comes with that. And then what's next for him? Should Deontay Wilder trigger the rematch clause? So what I want you to do is sit back for a second, check out this commercial break, and I'll be back in a minute. right, we back. So we're going to talk about, should Deontay Wilder's trainer, Mark Breland, have thrown in the towel? My answer is yes. He should have thrown in the towel. And I'll tell you the reason why he probably threw in the towel versus, D's, his other trainer, not throwing in the towel. Mark Breland is a former fighter. So as a former fighter, you notice certain things. You notice if your guy is steady. I think he views Deontay Wilder as a little brother. He wants to protect him. He knows how it is to receive punches, how your body should react if you're okay. He knows how to receive punches if your body reacts when you're not okay. And I think he knows, like, if you're down, at that point, it would be down 7 rounds with 2 knockdowns. The only way you're going to win that fight and come out of that fight with a win is by knockout. And I think at that point, he gave him a couple more rounds to see if he had anything with his legs. And his power, Deontay Wilder's power, your power comes from your legs. And if your leg's not steady, you're not going to deliver something that's going to knock a 6'9", 271-pound dude down. So I think Mark Breland saw all of that. He gave him a chance, and he threw in the towel to not have him suffer more damage. And I think that was smart, because if Deontay Wilder wants to, he has 30 days to trigger an immediate rematch if he wants to, or a rematch down the line. So I think the reason why Breland threw in the towel versus Dees is because Dees is not a fighter. I'm not saying he's a bad guy, but I think he's more of a guy who didn't know the nuances of the sport and knowing how much a beatdown can do for you psychologically. A lot of people, when they see fighters, they think that, a loss is just a loss. No. A loss is just not a loss to certain people. It depends on your mental makeup. So you got to look at it from Deontay Wilder's mental makeup. And what happens next is going to prove who he truly is. So when you go from being a world-class beater, knocking everybody out, and then you come against a guy who you had problems with before and who you knocked down and who he got up before, and then he comes in the second fight and he's starting to beat you, not just beat you, but beat you down. Your ear is bleeding. You may have jaw problems and you can't trigger. That does something to a fighter, because at that point, I'm not invincible anymore. And then when you get beat like a dog, because some people don't know, like, if a dog gets beat, he remembers that. If you beat a dog to where it's imprinted in his mind, he's going to always remember that. And Tyson Fury was at that point, getting to the 7th round, he was starting to beat him like a dog. And Deontay Wilder is going to have to, the next few weeks and next few months, and even the next fight is going to be, he's going to have a lot of emotions. He's going to think, part of his emotions is going to be like, okay, they shouldn't have thrown in the towel, I could have won, because he never lost in his life. So he's going to be like, damn, I could have still won if they ain't thrown in the towel. He's going to have those thoughts. Then he'll also think like, damn, this nigga was really hurt. He was really hurting me. You know what I mean? And then when he starts to go out, the people that was giving him, what's up, champ, all that, congratulations. Some people still going to do it. But some people are looking, oh, he got beat up. If you go on social media, he's going to start seeing these memes. And you got to have you got to be strong mentally to kind of withstand that. And then it's either one or two things. He's going to start to notice, okay, in this boxing game, really all I have is myself. I can't let all of the extras come with it to change me, because that's what it is. It's extras. When you lose, you find it crystallizes. All in this thing you got is yourself. And who you truly are as a person and who you truly are as a fighter is going to play out in your next fight, in your subsequent fights. Because you don't have that that air of invincibility anymore. You got what the base of who you are is going to shine in the next fight. So when it comes to what's next for Deontay Wilder, should he trigger the rematch clause? Will he? I think he should trigger it. I know if you his managers and stuff, you're probably thinking twice about letting him trigger, because if he loses again, he's probably done especially if he loses again to Fury. He's probably done as a top-notch heavyweight, because Fury is I feel this way, Fury is going to always be a tough matchup for Deontay, because Fury is 6'9". He can move like heavyweights typically don't move. And he's now throwing in the offensive wrinkle. And he's a smart fighter. So Fury is going to always be a tough fight for Deontay. Now, that's not to say Deontay cannot beat Fury. I think he can. Anytime you have the right hand that he's naturally gifted with, you can beat Fury. You always have a chance. However, there's a couple things he's going to have to incorporate to give himself a better chance. Number one, he needs to use his jab. If his trainers, I say they should work 80% on his jab and him fighting off his back foot, because the game plan is going to be that same thing. The heavyweights that you fight, the heavyweights you fight in the future, they're going to always see that Fury fight and think that's the game plan to beat you. It's to make you fight off your back feet and be offensive with you and go into a firefight. So you got to be able to use your jab, still deliver the right hand that you have naturally, and be able to fight off your back feet. If he gets those three things down, he's going to probably not get... There's only a few people. That's very few times he can get beat. Fury might still be one of the people who can beat him using that, but I say 99% of the heavyweights out there cannot beat Deontay Wilder if he incorporates those three things. If he becomes a master as far as fighting off his back foot, uses his jab, and then delivers a right hand, and add it with the smarts that he has. Because Deontay Wilder is smart. He's smarter than we give him credit for as far as in the ring. He just got hit in the third round. I think that threw everything off. The game plan went out the window in the third round. Once he got hit in that ear, and right there, that threw his equilibrium off. So I think he should, and the reason why I think he should do it, because if he goes to another fight, in the back of his mind as a fighter, he's going to always have that cloud. Can I really beat Fury? Am I a fraud? Am I real? If he goes to another fight, he's kind of like, in his mind, he's going to think he's ducking. Even if he doesn't say that, even if his managers convince him that he's doing a smart thing, he's going to think, I'm not confronting the obstacle that's in front of me. So, will he trigger the rematch clause? I don't know. I think his managers, Shelly Finkel, I think his advisor, Al Heyman. Well, I know Shelly's going to probably tell him that it's smarter not to fight Fury the next fight to get a couple wins under your belt. I don't know as far as what Al's going to say. If he fights Fury again, of course, the third fight isn't going to be as big as the second fight, and it could get bigger if he fights other fights. But I think fighting interim fights, Deontay Wilder would never answer the question that he's going to have in the back of his mind once this all settles out. Is, damn, can I beat Fury? Is he truly better than me? Can I rise to the table? Because I think if he fights Fury the third fight and Fury beats him, I think there's a good possibility he could retire. At that point, he'll be 34, 35. He's put 12 years in the sport, became a champion. He's ran into somebody he can't beat. And I think the only fight that would make sense after that would be possibly an Anthony Joshua fight. But if he doesn't get that, then it makes sense just to retire, really. It doesn't make sense to just fight these other guys, to me, at that point. So, what we're going to do right now, we're going to go to another quick commercial break. I'm going to come back and I'm going to give you my updated top 10 heavyweights after this fight and after this commercial break. So hold on real quick. We'll be right back. All right, we back. We're going to get to this last part of the episode where we're going to talk about the top 10 heavyweights we got as of current rankings by You Can't Play Boxing. And you can find these rankings on the website too. That's can'tplayboxing.com. You'll find these rankings going up shortly. So at the last night fight, we kind of crystallized a couple things at the top. But we're going to start at the bottom of the top 10 rankings. At number 10 heavyweight we got is Alexander Povetkin. Alexander Povetkin out of Russia, 40 years old, 35 wins, 2 losses. 2 losses is to Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. Povetkin is a solid fighter. Even at 40, he's still somebody that you got to be reckoned with in the heavyweight division. Number 9, I got Adam Kownacki, Polish guy, 30 years old, 20-0, fights under the PBC banner. He's solid. He hasn't been tested a lot in heavyweight, but, I think a fight against like a Povetkin type will test him, so we'll see how it goes. And another thing, too, with heavyweight, people say that people, get washed or whatever with a heavyweight. I don't think he got washed. I don't think anybody gets washed, but in heavyweight, one punch changes everything. When a 250-pound guy hits you, I don't care what kind of technique you got, that one punch, it could change in a matter of seconds. So that's why it's one of the most exciting divisions. And it's very few heavyweights that will be undefeated because of that in the history of the sport. Anytime you're taking punches from 200-pound guys on a regular occurrence, you're going to probably get hit with one that's going to fuck your whole life up. Or fuck your whole group, at least that fight up. But going back into the top 10 rankings, man, number 8, got Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, 31 years old. I think Dillian Whyte is interesting. He's 27-1. I think he can fight and be in a mix in the top 5, but he has to beat somebody in the top 5, and I don't know where that's coming from. So we have to see him match up with somebody and kind of show things. So number 7, got somebody who's going to probably fight Anthony Joshua in the next fight. We got Kubrat Pulev, 38 years old, 28-1, only losses to Vladimir Klitschko. Pulev is coming from is it Bulgaria or something? So yeah, from Bulgaria. So we'll see. I got him as the number 7 guy. So it's gonna be a heavyweight. You never know what's gonna happen. You can put your best foot forward, but you never know what's gonna happen. Speaking of never know what's gonna happen, it's got a guy who proved that last year, but nobody thought he'll win last year, but he won. Number 6, I got Andy Ruiz Jr., 30 years old, 33-2-0. He lost to, of course, Anthony Joshua the second time, but he beat Anthony Joshua the first time, so he had 3 belts up until just 2 months ago. 30 years old. Fired as trainer, so we'll see how it goes. We'll see what's next for him. I think Andy Ruiz has fast hands, and he has been to the mountaintop. It's just whether or not he could put the effort in on a consistent basis to go along with his technical skills that he has. Number 5 is somebody who is unproven in heavyweight, but I like his fighting style, which is Alexander Usyk, 17-0-1, former cruiserweight, won the Super 6 or the World Boxing Championship, fighting out of Ukraine. I got him as my number 5 guy. Hasn't fought too many heavyweight fights right now, but I do think his technical skills will give anybody fits. But sometimes technical skills is not the only thing you need in the heavyweight division, but it does put you in a good spot. Number 4, got Louise Ortiz, only lost 2 times, 40 years old on paper. He 31-2-0, lost both times to Deontay Wilder, but I think he's very technical. I don't think anybody really wants to fight Ortiz, because even with those losses, he's still a tough out. Still a tough out. Number 3, I battled with this for a while. Who would I put at number 3? Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder. They both have 1 loss. Deontay Wilder has 1 draw also. So it came down to number 1, Wilder has a draw, which a lot of people think he shouldn't have got last time. But I gave him a draw last time against Tyson Fury. Then he has this loss. And another deciding factor is that Wilder hasn't shown me as of yet, because the loss just happened yesterday. He hasn't shown me how he responds to a loss yet, which when you're undefeated is a key. That's key in your boxing career. How do you respond to a loss? Because it really kind of tells who you are as a fighter throughout your career. So I put Wilder as number 3. He's 34 years old, 42-1-1, former WBC champion, and has the opportunity to fight for that belt and the lineal belt again if he chooses to. So that means at number 2, I have Anthony Joshua, 23-1, 30 years old. Only loss was to Andy Ruiz Jr. He's going to probably fight Kubrat Pulev as his mandatory coming up soon. I think they're talking about June or the summer, something like that. So it'll be an interesting fight. I think Joshua has the skills to beat Pulev, but I don't think Joshua is over. I think at the more and more he gets away from that Andy Ruiz Jr. fight as far as time, he gets better. But I think I want to see how he responds to a big shot. I think mentally he still may not be over that yet. And of course, number 1, the only undefeated heavyweight, with the belts. Tyson Fury's the lineal champion, WBC champion, 31 years old, 30-0-1. The Tyson Fury that fought last night, who was offensive minded, who has the movement, the ring smarts, and the size that he has, is a handful for anybody currently. And he's a handful for any historic fighters with that size and with that movement. I'm not saying he would beat everybody, but he would be a handful. So hats off to Tyson Fury. Shouts out to him. So this was a great episode. We had a big weekend. It was a big weekend for boxing, big week for boxing. I think boxing put on its best foot forward, and I was proud of it. So, next week we got Mikey Garcia, and we got fighting Jesse Vargas. So we're gonna do a show next week talking about that fight. In the meantime, catch us on Instagram. You Can't Play Boxing. That's UCANTPAOYBOXING. Also, our website, Can't Play Boxing, and also our YouTube page, You Can't Play Boxing, where you'll find some of the archived episodes and more content. So until next week, y'all, peace.